This is the plaintiff, Linda Harlow. She says she hired the inept defendant to replace her transmission. He screwed her car up, and she wants him to return the $3,589.80 she paid him for the shoddy job. So she's suing. This is the defendant, Jay Weinberger. He says he gave the plaintiff a 1-year, 12,000-mile warranty, and she brought the car back to him 19 days and 13,474 miles after her warranty expired, complaining. This woman has an old car with a lot of miles on it. She has other problems with it, and she's trying to blame him and get him to pay, which he refuses. He's accused of not shifting gears.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff says she hired the defendant to fix her car. She says the guy screwed it up royally and she wants her money back. But the defendant says he's done everything in his power to help this woman out with her problems. But enough's enough already because there's simply no pleasing her. It's the case of sometimes you're always stuck in second gear.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
Ms. Harlow, you are suing Mr. Weinberg's transmission company because according to you, he should have to pay for the new transmission job that you just had to have done. Talk to me. Tell me what happened.
Yes. Thank you again, Your Honor, for taking my case.
So, Ms. Harlow, when is it that you brought your car in to have the transmission changed by the defendant?
I took it in March of 2019.
Okay. And what kind of warranty did you get with that job?
He left me with a 12-month warranty with, I believe, 12,000 miles.
He does the transmission in March of 2019, right? Yes. More or less when in 2019 or 2020 do you start having problems with the transmission?
I started noticing actually later in the year. I had it checked with my mechanic, Eddie, my regular guy. He scanned it, just to go over briefly, and it was determined that it was a torque issue. I also went to Scranton Motors. They scanned it too then. They scanned it later in the year in 2020. After I had brought it in March of 2020, a year later.
Oh, okay. Hold on one second. You brought it to him in March of 2020, you say, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
back again.
And Mr. Weinberger, did you repair the car in March of 2020 or correct whatever it is that was wrong?
So we rebuilt it originally in March of 19. It came in not moving. We rebuilt the transmission, and she came back March 31st of 2020 with a check engine light on with a torque converter code, 741.
What day in March did you rebuild it in 2019?
March 18th.
Okay, but I take it she was calling you before March 31st when you treated it, or it wouldn't have been inside the warranty. I take it she was trying to reach you before that and within the warranty time, right? Is that why you fixed it?
Not at all.
No?
I'm sorry, I didn't
okay.
interrupt you.
No, it's all right.
We didn't hear from her until March 31st of 2020.
Oh.
She came in complaining about the check engine light on.
Okay.
We actually cleared the code. We drove the car, and we can drive it with a scanner to watch and see how it works, and it worked perfect for us.
Okay.
So it didn't act up. So we replaced two parts that we replaced when we originally built the transmission, thinking maybe that's what was wrong.
And what were those two parts?
One's called the torque converter.
Okay.
And one's called the torque converter solenoid.
Okay.
So we replaced those two parts, not charging her. She was out of the warranty by mileage, but we want to, in good faith, take care of it for her.
Okay. So you take care of that, and then what happens, Ms. Harlow?
Well, he claims that he rebuilt it. When I left the shop, it was still a problem. And correction, I did call him. I did try a few times before in March because we had been concerned before that, the mechanic, Scranton Motors.
So you say that after he fixes it on the 31st of March or whenever he fixes it in March of 2020, that it continued to be a problem. Where's the first evidence that you have that there was a problem?
Still slipping as it had been going before that, and shifting. Problems with that.
So
and the check engine light was
show me the, I know that you've given us some evidence. I want to know who is the first mechanic who says there's a problem with the transmission after March 31st of 2020, because I need to see when the person said that.
I have this, which I also sent you from Ed's shop.
Okay. The Ed's automotive note is on March 10th of 2021.
Okay. He had typed this later because Ed had typed this later because I needed to get an affidavit because at the time I was trying to get the defendant's shop to bring it in again, even though I didn't know the warranty was over.
Okay,
but I was
hold
having
on. She's right about that. Okay, slow down. Calm down. Calm down. Ms. Harlow, don't yell at me. Don't yell at me. I didn't do anything. All right. No, but she's right. This was authored March 10th. But at the very end of this document, vehicle returned to our shop in November of 2020 with approximately 128,500 miles. And it is Ed's Transmission's opinion that the rebuilt originally in 2019 was with substandard quality parts. Okay.
Yes.
Right. Let me hear from you, Mr. Weinberger, about the opinion that I just read out loud of Ed's Transmissions.
November of 2020 was 6,000 miles after we put the torque converter and the solenoid in at no charge to her. So it was out of warranty. So as I said, when she came back March 31st of 2020, it was 1,400 miles out of our warranty. So we did that at no charge, and the warranty was over. It was a good faith repair.
And so let's assume that no good deed goes unpunished. And just for a moment, for the sake of argument, let's assume no good deed goes unpunished. So you do a repair in March, and what she's saying is, you see, Judge, the repair in March didn't work because I had a problem in November. And so this proves that they do, that should be linked together. What's your response to that argument? My
response is that the repair was done when the warranty was over. So there's no warranty in the repair. The transmission lasted our warranty period. Now, we've built hundreds of these transmissions. We've never had this problem before. Every once in a while, we get a car that just will not cooperate.
Right.
So
here's the thing, Ms. Harlow. What you're asking me to do is basically to make a 1-year warranty, a 1.5-year warranty. A 1-year warranty is a 1-year warranty. It is not a 2-year warranty. If I were in his shoes, I wouldn't have fixed your car on March 31st unless there was evidence that you contacted him beforehand. I don't know whether you have that evidence. It doesn't matter. He did fix it in March. So what you would have to show me is that the fix is that the November problem, you'd have to show me that your next problem is related to that. And then even then, he'd have a defense saying, hey, I did that out of the goodness of my heart. She was out of warranty. But then I'd get into when did you call him? How long did they take to let you bring the car in? And we'd get into all that. But what I need to see is a problem in soon after he does the repair. And you're showing me a problem April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, 8 months later. You're showing me a problem.
Yes.
That's the best evidence you have is it drove great for 8 months and didn't give you a problem for 8 months. Did it give you a problem for 8 months?
Yes, the whole time.
The whole time? What are you doing driving with a bad transmission the whole time? You shouldn't be doing that. Maybe you're wrecking the engine more by doing that and the transmission more by doing that.
Car beautifully. It was well cared for, by the way.
Well, then, if it was well cared for and you had a problem in April, why didn't you take it to a mechanic in April?
I did. Eddie kept saying it's still a problem. It's
good.
Still a problem.
So just show me proof of that, because according to Eddie, you didn't bring it in until November. Show me something.
No, they diagnosed it.
Okay, darling, listen to me.
They diagnosed it when I brought
listen
it
to
in
me.
And they said
time limits apply to you. Time limits apply to you. When the rest of us get a 1-year warranty, we get a 1-year warranty. I'm stuck with whatever contract you entered into. You entered into a contract that said 12,000 miles or a year, because this is a contracts issue. It's not the only issue I have in front of me is, are you still within the warranty? And I find that you are not, and I rule in favor of the defendant.
I spent almost $7,000 on, is that normal?
Well, the judge finds for the defendant in this case. Ms. Harlow, the plaintiff, go ahead and let off some steam. What are you thinking right now? Yeah. You lost the case.
My testimony has not been heard because I have witnesses that have seen this, and it's right here in front of me.
All right. Well, I'm sorry. Your testimony was definitely heard. Everybody heard your testimony, Ms. Harlow. You're very upset, but I can't help you, ma'am. It's a contract case, and you were out of warranty. Mr. Weinberger, she is really upset. What do you think about the outcome of the case? What's your opinion?
I agree with the judge. I mean, she was out of warranty. You can tell she's upset, and it's a bad thing to happen. We don't like this, but, that's what the contract's all about.
All right, sir. Well, good enough. Congratulations. The judge found in your favor, and that's the way the case comes to an end.
So, Doug, this is a case where the plaintiff did get a warranty. The problem is the warranty expired, and this raises a really good question. When you have a car or anything where you have a warranty and it doesn't seem to be working right, do not sit on your hands. Immediately confront the seller and say, I'm enforcing the warranty.
Do you communicate with your daughters in Spanish every once in a while? Also, what Cuban traditions does your family still keep?
Yeah, usually when I'm mad, a lot of it'll come out in Spanish. And like sayings and stuff like that will come out in Spanish. We mostly, I was educated in America. I was born in America, and I think in English. I don't think in Spanish. When I talk to my mother exclusively in Spanish, my kids will talk to my mother in Spanish.
Right.
And my kids always wanted to take French or something, or Chinese and Mandarin in school. And I'm like, when you get the second language down, you can try a third.
Right.
So we'll communicate every so often in Spanish, but it's mostly in English. But, in terms of tradition, it's really your culture and the way you are. Like, I am a very protective mother, and that's not unique to Cubans, but I'm an extremely protective mother. I am all up in their business.
Right.
I often check on their location to make sure. I know the shape of the dorms.
Right.
So I know it's like a clover leaf, so it's super helpful. I can see if they're already in for the night, and then I can relax.
Yeah, there's no Fourth Amendment in our house.
No, there's no Fourth Amendment in our house.
Right.
We have no expectation of
for that
privacy.
matter.
Yeah, that's it. You better talk now, and you better show me your phone. So that's kind of the way it was growing up. We talked to them. I talk to my kids every day, and they're no longer living in Miami. I talk to them several times a day through text. So yeah, we're all up in each other's grill. That's kind of the same way my mother and I were, even when I was away at law school.